I
Whoa,
tried.
it's
I
recording,
tried.
man.
I tried quitting. Like I used to be able to quit coffee every once in a while, but like the last time, I was forced to because I was kind of well, I wasn't forced to, but like after I was out of the hospital, I was like, well, I haven't had caffeine in 2 weeks or whatever, so I'm just not going to do it for a while. And then I was just tired until I started drinking again. It's
Mm.
either I drink caffeine or I'm tired. That's it.
It's too bad you were when I hit the record that you were saying the specific like coffee and stuff, because then I could have called it like something else.
Yeah,
When
we're
you're
talking
addicted
about crack cocaine.
when you're addicted to crocodile.
Yeah, human. What do you call it? Like adrenochrome drained from a baby or
Yeah,
some
you're into
shit. Yeah,
that, into
it's that.
that.
I mean, I'm
Sure.
not into it. I just have to have it.
Let's see what is in the box. I guess well, you probably know to have your prologue somewhere handy.
Yep.
Oh, while we're doing this recording, do you by chance have that summary?
Shit, I forgot to finish it.
Okay, well, you'll just have to
God, I
send it
was
later.
yeah, I'll
I was
I'll
just
have
gonna
it by
say
them.
that's
God,
fine. I was just gonna say
I
I
think
could
it
put it in
was
this recording.
that's what I was planning to do. I was 100% planning to do it. I think that like all of the changing things around made me like forget, or maybe it was like I think it was that it kind of took me a while to watch all that jazz and I still didn't finish it, so I was like,
Well, it's a 2 hour movie.
yeah,
Da, da,
it's
da.
it's a weird that movie like kind of it's not I'm not enjoying it, but it does make me feel like it's okay to pause it like all the time
Yeah,
because there's so many like
I
little vignettes.
I half-halved it. Yeah, I did it in
Like
two chunks.
I should have just the rest of it I'm just gonna like absolutely turn the lights off and like sensory deprivation through that shit because
And
it just makes me feel like it's okay to start web browsing during it.
is that first time?
Yep.
So watching Roy Scheider do that role is kind of insane.
Yeah, it's great. Wow. Yeah, he's so sexy. I don't know. Yeah, it's
You
weird.
would never like, watching him in other movies, you would never peg him to play that role.
No, because well, I don't know. In Jaws, he comes across like a 55-year-old man, and in this sometimes it's like sometimes he seems like he's a younger guy, and sometimes he seems like a very old pervert.
Yeah.
It's like and it just kind of flows. I don't know. It's really interesting. It makes me respect him a lot more because I didn't used to like Roy Scheider, and I don't even know why. I just used to not like
He
him.
doesn't have a lot of flash. I mean, like in a good way. Like it's like he's
Yeah.
serving the movie most of the time. So this is kind of his flashiest role, but that's because it has to be. You can't play that role without being flashy and doing jazz hands.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I didn't like him before I watched Jaws, if that makes
Hmm.
sense. Because I didn't see Jaws till I was like an adult.
Okay, that 2010. Now I have to look up his filmography real quick. Uh, I'm
I
like,
think
what are
well when we were younger, it's like he was in Sequest DSV or whatever, which I could not get into.
Yeah, okay, yeah, he's in the French Connection. He's in Jaws too. What do you know? I thought he was
Yeah.
smart enough to get out as quickly as
I
possible.
I think I went into that in my Jaws 3 trivia, but I don't know how much I dwelled on it. But yeah,
He's in the 2004 The Punisher. Oh, Sorcerer, that's the big one I'm not remembering.
Sorcerer.
Um, yeah,
Was
that's
that a Ridley Scott film or something?
William Friedkin.
Oh, right, right.
Based
I've not
kind of
seen
a
it.
remake of The Wages of Fear. The film depicts four outcasts from various backgrounds living in a South American village assigned to transport two trucks loaded with aged, poorly kept dynamite that is sweating nitroglycerin.
That is not what I expected from a film called Sorcerer.
Well, you have to be a sorcerer. It was a negative reviews at the time. Now it's considered a classic. Ooh, box office bomb. Soundtrack by Tangerine Dream. Hmm.
Yep. I somehow I knew that.
Okay. But yeah, it's a fascinating one that is kind of considered a classic now, but it was like a
Mm.
full-on disaster when it came out.
7.7 on IMDb.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's going to have something about the I'm looking for the resp critical oh yeah, it has the initial reception reassessment, thing, like the
Mm.
thing. The thing has that as well. Movies that
Oh, for a second I was like what thing? Oh no,
the
the
thing.
thing. Yes,
Yeah,
of
because
course.
that movie was hated for like what 20 years basically.
Yeah, and I want to say that it was I want to say that the thing wasn't like even really on DVD until like or there was a DVD that was shitty, like kind of a shitty VHS transfer until like pretty much like 2010 or so. Like
Mm.
I want to say it was like it was really long before you could see a good transfer of it. Like I would, I watched it on
Well,
TV a bunch, but
what I thought the late '90s one was considered to be like, I mean, that's the one where it kind of got reassessed, I think.
I don't know.
Okay.
I thought it got I didn't think that it got reassessed like because of any specific release of it. I thought it just got reassessed just over time.
Yeah,
Like I
I
don't
feel
know.
like it.
I could be
You
wrong.
might be right. I feel like it was because I remember just hearing that this movie's crap, and then the DVD came out and was like, "Hey, wait a minute, this movie's actually pretty good."
But also remember like Evil Dead 2 was pretty beloved and there was like there was no non-shitty way to see that until like way after Army of Darkness came out, but
Mm.
people still loved it. It's like, I don't think really new releases usually do all that much for films. I'm looking at like the taglines for Sorcerer, and one of them is "Die really hard" with "really" in quotes, and I'm
Like,
thinking that that must have been added after 1987.
yeah, I'm saying here like that can't possibly there's no context for that when the movie came out.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
Uh,
But what did Friedkin? I mean, he made The Exorcist. And what else has he? He had to made a few more.
I think God, I get him confused with um I get him confused with the other. Oh yeah, he directed Killer Joe in 2011, which is very good. That's like have you seen that?
I did the French Connection. Crazy. Okay.
Yeah. Have you seen Killer Joe?
I have not. I don't think I've seen Killer. No, I haven't
It's
seen Killer Joe.
it's just basically like kind of a tense like crime drama where the Matthew McConaughey plays a total psychopath.
Okay, that's fun.
It's very fun. Yeah, it's really good. Um Highly recommend.
Otherwise, yeah, he actually could. I guess he was a kind of a '70s guy for the most part, and nothing else really hits later on.
To Live and Die in LA is supposed to be really good, but I've never seen it.
Right.
And Cruising is supposed to be really good, and I've never seen that.
But I'm just
So yeah,
thinking
I
ones
guess
that are like,
shit.
well, that's 1980s. That's still basically the '70s. No, I'm just kind of thinking about like,
Yeah.
yeah, ones that really stick out, which everything's in the '70s that really sticks out. Stick it out in the '70s. Hmm.
Huh, he directed Fritz Lang interviewed by William Friedkin in 1975. That I'd watch that. Oh, and he
Oh,
directed an episode of
oh,
80s Twilight
documentary.
Zone.
Yeah, I guess we'll be visiting him at some point in the Night Crawlers. Hmm.
I get him mixed up. What was the other Exorcist guy? There's William Friedkin and there's no,
What do you mean
am I
by
not
other
thinking of
Exorcist
Exorcist.
guy?
There was like another guy who has a name who's sort of similar. Maybe I'm
Lots of
thinking
people
of
have names.
damn, why am I like there's a
William
guy who's
Frizzy.
still alive. I didn't even remember William Friedkin, but I'm thinking of Paul Schrader.
Oh,
I
okay.
think Paul Schrader and William Friedkin worked together on something, and I can't fucking remember what. But
Maybe because we were talking about Roy Scheider. You're getting all those
no,
shoes
no,
in.
no, 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 no. I conflated Paul Schrader and William Friedkin for a long time because I don't know why I get them mixed up,
Yeah.
and they're sort of maybe they're just both like '70s guys who
Oh yeah, he
kind
writes
of like
Scorsese films. He
kept.
made Cat People on his own, I think. I mean the remake,
Yeah,
obviously, didn't
but
make the one in the
I think he's also really good for like if you follow him on Twitter, having like really fun hot takes about movies now.
Yeah, Mishma, Cat People.
Yeah,
Mishma has Roy Scheider as a narrator. I just learned that from
that
looking at his wiki.
that movie's great, and it's very fun how every time I every time I make some comment on the internet about Ed Wood being the only good biopic, people are like, "Oh, yeah, Mishima. Oh, yeah, yeah, okay, you're right. That one's also good." I never think of that as a biopic because I don't know a lot about the guy. I learned everything about the guy from watching the biopic,
Hmm.
so um,
Well, you don't love Bohemian Rhapsody?
I'm not even going to see that. I'm just
Oh,
not going
oh,
to watch it.
honestly, it plays almost like Walk Hard, except that it's not supposed to be a comedy. That's how that movie rolls. Like it like hits every cliche as hard as it can.
Was it something like you still hadn't seen the Weird Al one yet?
Oh, I've seen that like twice.
Oh, okay.
Maybe it's Luke.
I don't know, maybe. Yeah,
I love
that was
there's a
that's the
fantastic
best
biopic.
one. That's the
Yeah.
best one, but it's also not a biopic because it's like full of lies. You know,
Well,
it's
so are every other biopic, so it's okay. It's still a biopic.
yeah,
It's just it's more full of lies than
they're
usual.
better lies. They're just better lies.
They're better lies, yes. Um, okay. You want to do some Twilight zoning? You want to zone in?
Sure.
Okay, give it 5 seconds. I'll introduce. Welcome to Time Enough Podcast, where we dive into every episode of the Twilight Zone and beyond. This is Matt. Here on the other end of this call is Mark.
Shut
Hi.
up. Get out of here.
Why?
What are you doing?
Are
I'm
you
sorry.
sleeping with another podcaster?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, yes, Mark, we had you were called in to do this episode, I guess, because of the this isn't like parlor sniping though. This is
No.
just nasty screaming at each other.
I mean, since we basically made up the idea of parlor sniping, I feel pretty confident that we could say that that's not what this is. This is just intense psychotic rage. But I'm not saying that wasn't like I felt kind of bad for laughing at all the violence because it's not really funny, but it was funny though.
This
And I could
is
tell when it was the stunt double.
yeah, it's what's in the box. It's what the honeymooners would have become in a later season if it continued running.
Yes,
Ralph Cramden
exactly.
would kill
It's like to the moon, Alice,
everybody.
out the window, Alice. Kill you.
Out of you, Palace. Yeah, that sort of thing. Actually, though, it's funny. I'll say in trivia that I'm about to do, but on My Three Sons, he did replace William Frawley, who was the landlord on I Love Lucy. Not I Love Lucy, the
Wait,
Honeymooners. What am I talking about? Honeymooners.
wait, what? Hold on. Who replaced on? You said three different shows.
Oh yeah, I did, and one of
Who
them, and
replaced
I
what?
didn't need to say anything about Lucy. I should have not talked about Lucy. Well, there's a connection there though too, because Joan Blondell was going to be Lucy's co-star on the Lucy show, but Lucy screamed at her and she got pissed and just walked off after 2 episodes.
Oh,
I didn't put that in
wow.
my trivia though.
That's kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah,
Well,
I
when
know
I
Lucy
okay,
wasn't always easy to deal
I
with.
just have to do the trivia, don't I? She did have things after this, so her career was not destroyed by Lucy, old ball, So she bounced back. Um, but what's in the box? Let's get into some of the trivia because I'm trying to like preload it already. The original air date was March 13th, 1964. Richard L. Bear directed. This is the seventh of seven Twilight Zone episodes he directed. He'd later direct almost every episode of Green Acres, like 95% of them.
Wow.
This is Martin Goldsmith's first script for The Twilight Zone. We'll get one more from him later this season with The Encounter. William Demarest played Joe Britt. He was a regular player for Preston Sturges and appeared in pretty much all of his classic movies. From 1965, he'd take over the role of Uncle Charlie on My Three Sons from an ailing William Frawley. Frawley was the land now. Oh God, now I do have to look it up. Is it Lucy? My brain is exploding.
Uncle
Okay,
Charlie? Yeah,
not no.
what
That's My
about?
Three Sons. You're 3 steps behind me. Okay.
No, I don't what are you trying to remember?
I'm trying to remember what William Frawley did. Um, he is I Love Lucy. Excuse me. He's Fred Mertz in I Love Lucy, and
Yeah.
we started by talking about the honeymooners, and it like scrambled my brain. That's what happened.
Okay.
He is
To the
the
moon with your brain.
right. So this just goes to
So,
show how much of a tangled web
uh,
Hollywood relationships are. This is why
well,
Carrie
let's
Fisher had to get the blackboard out to find out if Billy Piper could date that guy. Are you
let
related? We're not sure.
it is worth making the connection that of all the episodes this guy has directed, the only one that you and I have done an episode on is Third from the Sun, which was his first. So we're like kind of doing
We're
the
bookending. I did that
cat
on purpose. That's how
bookending.
I run
Yeah.
this podcast, of course.
Yeah, of course. Great job.
Phyllis Britt was played by Joan Blondell. She was a studio player for Warner Brothers in the 1930s. Her star shining especially brightly in pre-code movies like The Public Enemy, Footlight Parade, and Gold Diggers of 1933. Her career continued after this episode as she had notable roles in films like The Cincinnati Kid and Grease. So those are after her Lucille Ball run-in. So she was fine. The TV repairman was played by Sterling Holloway. Though he's got a very distinctive face, you're more likely to know his voice. He was the original voice for Disney's Winnie the Pooh, as in the Disney version of Winnie the Pooh. I know it's that you get what I'm saying. I'm just convoluted today. My brain's exploding.
Wait, as opposed to what, the murder one?
The murder one. I'm just trying to acknowledge that Disney did not create Winnie the Pooh. I know Disney didn't create
Okay.
Winnie the Pooh, and I said Disney's Winnie the Pooh.
I
So it,
I actually I'm here to debate you on that. I think they did.
okay, sure, why not? And he was the voice of the Cheshire Cat in Alice in Wonderland, Kaa in the
Yeah.
Jungle Book, Mr. Stork and Dumbo, and Rockford the Mouse in the Aristocats. Now, he's a mouse in the Aristocats. There's just to make things a little
Mm.
more confusing. Um,
Do they
yeah,
kill him?
in the movie The Aristocats.
Yeah, they kill him, right? He's a mouse.
Yeah. Oh no, all I remember is the flash of the booby poster you get in the apartment. That is there, by the way. We did
Yeah,
find that. Yeah, that's there for sure.
that's not a conspiracy. It's
That's not a
real.
conspiracy. We found it.
Yeah.
If you could go ahead and give us an opening narration.
Okay, here we go. I visited your home this morning after you'd left. I tried to play husband. I tried to taste the life of a simple man. It didn't work out, so I took a souvenir. Her pretty head.
Okay.
What's in the box?
Yeah, I know. I was about to say you're
Get
watching the
it?
wrong thing there. Yeah, I get
Get it?
it. Sure, I get it.
Okay, no, I'll do it. I'll do it for real now. The box. You opened it. We came. Now you must come with us. Taste our pleasures.
Okay, that's another movie. How many movies did you watch last night?
None. Okay, I'll do it for real now. Portrait of a TV fan. Name, Joe Britt. Occupation, cab driver. Tonight, Mr. Britt is going to watch A Really Big Shoe. Something special for the cabbie who's seen everything. Joe Britt doesn't know it, but his flag is down and his meter's running, and he's in high gear on his way to the Twilight Zone.
All right.
Beep, beep.
Okay.
Ah! I, I yeah.
You
Hard to take this one seriously, unfortunately. I don't know. There is like grisly violence in this.
Yeah, actually, I had gotten wrongly. This is more the cable guy, and I came in expecting Pleasantville, right?
You came in expecting Pleasantville?
Well, that's
I don't
because
know.
they have the TV repairman come in, and that's how the movie starts, right?
Ah,
So I was like, oh, that I always like I don't know if I've seen what's in this episode. Like I always just assumed that was a Twilight Zone reference, and I was like, oh, it must be referencing this. So I put it on, not expecting quite so much grisly murder and violence, at least.
I thought, okay, we're doing static except for with a TV instead of a radio. Um, but then it sort of did this thing where it swerved, and I thought it was going to be kind of thoughtful, and then it was like, oh, this guy's just an idiot. He's just going to do exactly what he was afraid he was going to do. It's kind of I have a hard time feeling sympathy for him because he like knew that he saw exactly what happened, but he just did it anyway. I don't know.
Right. Well, but
It's
his wife is watching Static, right? So it is his actual insanity at play. It's not like the TV is showing these things. They do make it clear. That doesn't, I mean,
yeah,
it's still a Twilight Zone thing, but it's not quite as on the nose mystical because she'd see it like with the car thing you drive, right? She could hear the
yeah.
car honking in that episode, the wife. Whereas in this one, she's like, "Oh God, this guy is crazy," and he is crazy, and then he murders her.
Yeah, it's like in You Drive, the guy messed up at the very beginning. He didn't know he was going to mess up. And this, he's like, he sees it happen and he's horribly upset, and it changes his life. And then his life just changes. He's just like, nah, screw it. I'm going to kill her anyway. Like, that's the only way I could picture what's going on inside of his head.
We
Just
call this
like, ah.
premeditation.
Yeah, he
That's the
literally
definition
screamed,
of
"I'll
murder.
kill you." He saw himself scream, "I'll kill you," and then he just did it anyway.
Well, he really wanted to do it. I mean, that's
Apparently, it was just like it was impossible to resist. It was like a gambling problem or something. I don't know. I don't even, that's not even, it was like watching a porno or something. Like he couldn't not do it, which means that he's kind of a bad person and maybe deserves not to jump ahead, but yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, I was thinking there was going to be Pleasantville, and it's not pleasant stuff, although it is pretty funny, entertaining. Yeah, it is. I guess it almost is like a dark comedy episode. See, that's the weird thing on the Twilight Zone when the comedy is like not, I guess it's somewhat intentional, but it probably helps that we are getting a script from a different writer, so we're getting a different tone.
Yeah, and briefly when the TV repair guy is in there at the beginning, you get that thing that annoys you where the music's like burp, 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 burp. Okay, mister. And then
Yeah, but they didn't do it through the whole episode. That was the thing that got me on the
no.
bar. That kept on going for like 50 minutes, right?
And then yeah, there's the kind of almost wacky violence on the TV, and then you see the stunt double, which I think is probably a guy sort of, if you rewind it, it's just a stunt double jumping backwards, doing a few little jumps and then jumping through the window. Like that was not the choreography was not carefully thought out, but that makes it more fun as
Well,
long as unless you're genuinely upset by it, which I don't get me wrong. If anyone is upset by the violence in this episode, I do not blame you. It's just sort of, I thought it was just kind of badly executed enough that I was having a hard time not laughing at it.
yeah,
But
it's almost Looney Tunes in its execution, right? Although
yeah.
you have to consider if you are going to say murder somebody, it is going to be awkward and weird, right? It's not like it's going to be like a De Palma edit.
Well, that's why I always say is it's violence is awkward. So things like David Lynch movies or Verhoeven movies, when they kind of lean into that, it's a lot better than Avengers. Like you shoot someone like over the shoulder and be like, "Thanks for sticking around," or whatever. You deliver a cool line and then
Yeah, you
then
just need
people
to keep
fall
a few
down.
cool lines in the back of your head just in case you end up murdering someone at some point. It will make things less awkward.
Yeah, the cool line is like, "I'll kill you."
Well, this guy's not creative. Now,
He's no Avenger.
the TV repairman does seem to ooze like some weird kind of pure evil, with the voice of Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah, does this guy? I feel like it implies at the end of the episode that he works for the Twilight, like he works for Rod Serling or something. Like, I don't feel like I've ever gotten because he breaks the fourth wall and looks at you. So it's like, it is. Are we building some kind of universe where there's just guys who work for the Twilight Zone? Because I mean that does make sense. I guess you could put a few more people in that box, like Mister what some of the Guardian Angels or maybe Mr. Death or something.
I guess it's the
One of
whole
the Mr. Deaths.
the whole weird thing about letting a stranger into the inner sanctum of your house, like a TV repairman. Again, we get what do we have? We the aforementioned Pleasantville. When does John Ritter go surfing through television in a movie?
That's like late 80s. I think that was
Stay
called
tuned.
Stay Tuned. Yep, you're right.
Yeah, that and
Um
Problem Child, the big Ritter duo.
so okay, there are a few questions worth asking about this episode. Do you think that any of this would have happened if he'd just paid the guy to fix the TV set? Is everything here the result of the guy, like him telling
Being
the
a
guy, well,
cheapskate.
don't, yeah, I'm not going to pay you for more than an hour if you're going to take that long. Like, like if that doesn't happen, then does he not, I guess he doesn't kill his wife because he
Um,
only kills her because he gets sad seeing himself killing her, and then that makes her get all crazy and then
and then
makes
he
him
gives
get
a
all
really
crazy.
bad apology, and
Yeah, he's like, I'm sorry, it turns out I've had some sex. I didn't pick up on right away. It's like he threw the slang out. He was sort of like, yeah, I went legs up a couple or something like that.
I went legs up a couple
Yeah, he
times.
said something like that. He was like, yeah, I went like or took somebody else's legs up or something. and he just sort of mumbled it and just threw it out, and then was like,
And
"I
then
love you."
the TV censors just didn't notice.
I guess. Well, I mean, I'm kind of surprised that they allowed the intense domestic violence in this, but I guess that's like it's more okay to do that than to like have someone using a toilet or sleeping next to each other.
Yeah, it made this episode, I guess, feel like really dense. Like it felt longer than usual. I'm not saying I was bored watching it, just felt long somehow.
Yeah. But the most interesting thing to me about the episode is that it, it's almost like, is this a paradox where like the TV repairman created a thing when he sees himself killing his wife, makes him open up to his wife, which makes her like taunt him until he kills her.
Hmm. Well,
Like, is that a Mobius strip?
I guess that's kind of her shtick. Isn't that what happens during the Public Enemy or whatever? Been
I
a
don't
little
know.
while since I watched that one. It is
I
a
haven't
good
seen
one,
that.
worth watching. You want probably watch it on YouTube.
Heard it was good.
Oh, it's great. But yeah, I mean, I guess someone watching this in 1964
Mm,
probably knows these actors like a little better than we do. I mean, I've seen Joan
mm.
Blondell in movies and stuff, but even though it's not like in the 30s she was like one of the highest paid actresses. So she was like a big star, and 1964 people remember that, whereas I don't think you or I have ever like considered her like a big star because we live many decades later.
Well, I mean, everyone in this episode looked kind of familiar, including the TV repairman. Well, okay, maybe the doctor didn't look that familiar,
Well,
but
Sterling Holloway has like one of those insane distinctive faces, which it makes it ironic
yeah,
that most of his famous stuff is voice work.
yeah. Okay, well, I've seen her. Okay, well,
I
maybe I
guess we
haven't
know
seen her
his
even.
face from this, though. I feel like the TV repairman is kind of one of the iconic Twilight Zone, characters. Like,
Yeah,
if you're naming 10 Twilight Zone characters, you're probably going to name this guy and remember his face.
I don't think I've seen this episode before, but I may have seen it. I'm not really sure.
You've probably seen shots of him, that's just like, yeah.
Like it just shows up in a little like TV spot or something,
Yeah,
like him
yeah, yeah.
looking at you.
Right, exactly.
Oh,
'Cause
he she's in okay, she's in Lizzie, which I have seen. Which our friend Dorian, who shows up on this podcast a fair amount, sent me that movie because I talked about how much I love multiple personality stuff.
Is that 40 Wax with a Wet Noodle?
No, different Lizzie.
Okay. Lizzie
The
McGuire?
the poster says female Jekyll and Hyde live three strange lives.
Right. Just no wet noodles. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, she was not the titular Lizzie or obviously any of her personalities, but you
Hmm.
know, she's like third build in that. So yeah, she was in it a fair amount.
Yeah, but what year was that, by the way? Just out of curiosity.
57.
57, okay.
It's a good
Yeah,
watch.
so I mean, she did seem to be like pretty cracking throughout her entire career, so good for her. Because
Yep.
some like what Gladys Cooper's been in 3 episodes, but this is like, well, this is pretty much the end of her career, right?
Mm, I don't know.
And Blondell gets another 15 years almost. So yeah. Uh, I was definitely thinking a little bit of Videodrome too, because in Videodrome the TV tells you to go kill people, right?
Yeah. Yeah, he sees himself on TV shooting himself and he shoots himself. I mean, so
Yeah.
wait, that's too much spoilers for a 50-year-old movie.
Yeah, that's what
Anyway,
I'll say. That's not really. You've watched Videodrome or you haven't at this point, you know?
yeah. No, don't worry, he's fine. He's just sleeping.
Right. In a pool of blood. He likes to
I
sleep
loved
in pools
like
of blood.
that's one of my favorite interactions I've ever had was like I said something about like the end of Endgame like on Reddit a year after Avengers Endgame came out, and then somebody responded to me like, name of character died, and then I said no, no, he's just sleeping.
Sure. He does say he's gonna go. I mean, the guy in this episode says he's gonna go watch wrestling, and I was really interested. We don't see the wrestling, but I was like, what is he watching in 1964? I think this came up recently. Like, I just don't understand what wrestling means before 1984 or so.
Was he watching boxing?
Think he
Wait,
said
was he
wrestling.
watching wrestling? I thought he was watching boxing, but I wasn't super paying a ton of
I mean, it
attention to what
quickly
was on
goes
TV.
to different things on TV, right? He doesn't really get to watch his sport, whatever it may be.
Yeah. Well, like I was saying in whatever podcast that was, we were talking about wrestling, was that wrestling was mostly you're mostly watching like local stuff until like the nationalization of it wasn't until like the 80s basically.
But
Like the generation the guys who were around like just before Hulk Hogan were sort of the first ones that everyone knew about. And
mm,
before that it was mostly like you'd watch local guys or you wouldn't even they would show up on like public access or something.
I mean, it's in New York City, so it is, I guess,
Yeah.
somewhat legit TV. But yeah, it might still be local, might be
Oh,
like New York local.
yeah, you might get like better guys in New York than you would in like Nebraska or something. But who knows?
Hey,
I certainly, you know, by the time I knew what wrestling was, what was the mid 80s and I was like, "Oh, that's fake." And then didn't learn to appreciate it until I was much older because I'm like, "Oh, well, it can't entirely be fake because guys are like hurting themselves and dying."
yeah, I was kind of hoping something was going to come out of their TV and kill them both. I guess when
I
they were
thought
getting real
yeah,
screechy.
I thought the fight was going to be something was going to have something to do with his whole thing, but no, I thought maybe it would it would be like that he was in the fight or I don't know. Yeah, they could have done more, but I guess they didn't need to.
Yeah,
Like
and it is a thing like um this being 1964. Again, we were spoiled by thinking of the really dumb John Ritter movie Stay Tuned, where he does get to go through all the TV things.
yeah, but that's also um I don't know. You don't have to do that. Like I don't feel like that's a very Twilight Zone thing to do. I don't think that sounds more like a frankly sounds more like a Twilight Zone the movie thing to do.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I mean? Like that leaned into the like whatever you want to call it, 80s wackiness.
Yeah, I guess that's the vibe of the Joe Dante segment, the It's a Good Life segment from the movie. It kind of has that sort
Yeah.
of tone, which
And
might be
yeah,
what you're thinking
and
of.
well, and I'm thinking of Gremlins too also. But yeah, just in general,
Well, Joe Dante.
exactly. But it's like you that like when I think of the Twilight Zone, I think of like intense intimacy, which is not like let's go through all this
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. Hey, when was the last time we did have a Twilight Zone window? It's been a while. I don't think we had a Twilight Zone window this season.
We have to have had one this season, right? Like this can't be the first one in season 5.
I know at some point we're like, oh, they seem to have been avoiding windows for a
Jesus.
while. They probably know.
Yeah, they figured it out.
But this is a new writer, so he doesn't know.
This is a freaking 24th episode. Okay. Does Nightmare on 20, at 20,000 feet count?
No, I think that came up and the decision was no.
Mm,
Because that's a different situation. Because falling out of just a random window and depressurizing a plane are,
uh-huh.
different things.
Well, okay, Living Doll and Uncle Simon both have someone falling down the stairs.
Those are stairs, not see they would have
I
stairs
know it's
instead of the
not.
window. It's kind of proving the point, right?
A short drink from a certain fountain. I feel like someone was at a window, but I don't think they fell out of it.
Mhm. I mean, you can have windows in episodes. That's fine. We're just talking
Um,
about people falling out of them.
yeah, I'm trying to, I'm just trying to make conversation as I go through all this crap.
There's a window again. That's so lazy to put a window in the shot. Yeah, that's not the complaint here. I
The self-improvement of Salvador Ross didn't have one. That
don't think
seems like it would
so.
have had one.
No, he got
Okay.
shot by the dad.
Yeah, but I mean, I just feel like that somebody might have fallen out of.
I don't think
No.
anyone else dies in that episode. I mean, maybe of old
Um,
age when they sell him his ears, but yeah.
and then there's two here that I haven't watched yet,
Right. So
but
anyway,
you would remember.
it's
So yeah, maybe not.
it's been a while since we had a Twilight Zone window. What do you know? Um,
Yeah.
but
Well,
do you recall? I
it's
think this came up a little bit yesterday or whatever when talking about weird UHF stations that you pick up.
yeah.
Yeah, because I was talking about like I could pick up in Atlanta channel 69 because it's like 3 blocks away and it was still grainy and weird, and you couldn't pick it up at all, right?
Oh, I could pick it up, but it wasn't good. It was like not. It was bad enough that I didn't consider it worth watching.
Okay, I
So
watched
there,
some real weird grainy
so
shows.
that's the main reason I didn't watch Voyager when it came on. Um,
Ultraman, SCTV, yeah.
Yeah, it's I would just I think there were a couple of things that I kind of wanted to watch on UPN that I just didn't.
And then
Um,
they had like their own like local shows on there too. I mean, that was, in the 80s we still had a lot of weird local TV that wasn't public access. There was like that middle ground of it's not network. I mean, that's where the movie
mhm.
UHF comes from, right? With Weird Al.
Yeah, and there I think there was maybe a horror host or two, and I don't remember much about them, but
Okay, there's one. I mean, that one they're not like having a Twilight Zone trip through TV, though they do have the Secrets of the Universe guy who's very Twilight Zoney. But yeah, UHF. That maybe that's the kind
um,
of thing you expect when you see this kind of episode, right? Like going through
that's
a
the
bunch of weird
quint.
TV setups.
I feel like that is almost the quintessential like '80s experience. It's like that's the whole thing is that in the '80s, if you're doing anything, including like Back to the Future or any of the stuff, you're going on a journey through a bunch of stuff, and then it's like it's like maybe the theme park experience kind of bled through to movies, if that
Well,
makes
that
sense.
we'll be talking about Raiders of the Lost Ark soon, but that's it. Raiders of the Lost Ark is like let's just have like 10 set pieces and like minimally tie them together, you know? And then it was
Yeah,
so good, everyone's like, "Oh, this is what we do now," you know?
I'm yeah, we'll get into it on the episode, but the last time I watched it, I felt like kind of old, and I was like, this is too much. I felt like it was too much last time I watched it. I
Okay.
am kind of coming, I'm like circling back around to where I kind of want the 70s
You want the
experience.
70s conspiracy thriller now.
Yeah, like I kind of would rather watch just like an intense noir with three or four people in it than
Hmm.
watch like Indiana Jones falling off a truck over and over. But
Well,
I
that
don't
is
know.
more
Maybe
what's
I'll
in the
feel different.
box. This is
Maybe I will feel differently. Yes, in the
two or three
future.
people mostly screaming at each other. So,
Yeah. Um and the futility of trying to fix your marriage. It's like there's something interesting there too, I think, where it's like that he realizes how bad things are and he's trying to take steps to fix it and she will not allow him to. Okay, she didn't make him kill her, but I can't say that, but there's definitely an element of like I don't know. And she says a bunch of times, "You can't. Oh, you thought you were gonna kill me? You couldn't kill me. You could barely do anything."
come
I
on,
mean, it's just
try. See if you can do it. See if you can kill
yeah.
me. So,
I think all of us have. Well, I don't know. All of us. Many of us have at the some point gotten so mad at someone they're just like, just come at me. Just try to kill me.
hmm.
No.
Oh,
Okay. Not
I
not like a not a partner necessarily, but like somebody.
no, I'm actually looking at the Japanese crime blotter right now, because there's a lot of old people killing each other. Although I'm not seeing any now. I am seeing some fun crime. Uh, Wow, woman boyfriend arrested after. No, that's not finished reading that one. Um,
I'm just gonna try to like translate from English "I'll kill you" into Japanese.
Shanae, I can do that right now.
Shide.
52-year-old man arrested for stealing cash from temple donation boxes in seven prefectures. That's kind of fun.
Wow.
Um, hey, oh no, that's different. Okay. Actually, the crime blotter's not fun today. Okay. Sometimes I
Huh.
read the Japanese crime blotter and it's kind of like mildly amusing. I guess the guy stealing temple boxes mildly amusing. But
Hmm. Yeah.
my favorite is still I think you saw the apologizing politician, the guy that had gone to the no, he didn't even go. He bought the most said he was buying the most expensive train tickets and he was just pocketing the
Huh.
money. So he did not actually go to the onsen like hundreds of times. But another guy was recently in the news. He was fired from a city office because he was taking 2 hour lunch breaks and going to the onsen. So
Was a guy where you sent me a video of it? And it was like 30 minutes of about the guy apologizing, or did I
yes,
look that up by myself?
you might
I
have looked it up by yourself. That's his apology is just like so insane and he's like crying and screaming. "Ah!" It's fantastic. It's a
yeah.
classic of weird news. But anyway, yes, my these stories do show up a lot in the Japanese news, I think. I mean it happens in America, it just doesn't make the headlines, because there's
Yeah.
worse stuff going on.
Well, our news is sort of screwed right now because there's a lot of things they're not reporting on. So it's like I don't know. I don't even trust anything coming out of them anymore. like any of them.
Like this
So,
couple, you wouldn't trust this couple.
nope. Um,
It is
I
amazing at the end, like how quickly the police come. Like they were just like waiting for this to happen. Like he sucker punches her through the window, and then the police like show up in like 5 seconds. Maybe
Yeah,
they were
and everyone. There's like 30 people there with the cops. They're like instantaneously teleporting to the store, which is, I mean, I guess I can understand the fight being loud enough that someone would have showed up, but like, damn, the whole building
Oh, I
and four
assumed that
cops.
Sterling Holloway was going around collecting people because he knew this was about to happen. Come on,
Yeah.
follow me. We're gonna go see a murder.
What if everyone's TV was showing it
Ah,
for like the hour before this?
that doesn't work though because only he could
No.
see the TV. Or maybe she was just blind. She was blind. She was the only one who
Yeah.
couldn't see. Maybe that's what was happening.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not the strongest. It's not the least flimsy premise, but
Yeah, I guess
yeah,
this is just living room sniping as opposed to parlor sniping, though. There's a difference,
I don't
right?
think I think this is just like murder.
Liver room, living room bludgeoning,
I
living
don't
room
think that you can
screaming.
I don't think you can have parlor sniping without like a mid-Atlantic or British accent.
I would
Like I
agree
don't
with
think you
that.
can
Yeah.
do that. I don't think these guys can do it. They
It,
can't pull it off.
yeah, Ralph
They're
Cramden is
just
not parlor
pissed.
sniping. He's just pissed.
Yeah, there's like look at if you're so pissed that like you see yourself killing your wife and you feel bad about it and then you just kill her anyway, then you're not you're
He's got some
beyond.
wild mood swings for sure.
Yeah, you're like you are an outlier of human civilization. You do not you're not polite. You're not allowed in the parlor. You're not polite enough.
Right.
You're not
Well, I guess unless you got another big observation, we will do those questions.
You're not oh the camera on her when she was yelling Yonkers over and over and she looked really wall-eyed was very funny and I don't know, it reminded me of Invader Zim. It was really like intense
I
and
mean, maybe
insane.
the way to watch this is like, like Saturday Night Live doing their honeymooners sketch, like the final episode of the honeymooners where he finally kills her. That's kind of what's going on here, you know?
Yeah, yeah, I have conflicted feelings because I want to feel bad about the violence, but it's just kind of like it's a touch of so bad it's good that's just in the most violent one of the most violent things one of the most violent scenes ever on the Twilight Zone so far.
Yeah,
Like
I mean it's like a sitcom just flying completely off the rails, into the parking lot.
like really we've had like the Nazis weren't doing this much violence in their episodes, you know? I
Well,
mean,
they were, but
I
you
mean they
didn't
were
see it
doing it off
filmed as,
screen.
yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't
I'm
filmed
saying
as
on
explicitly.
camera.
Right.
Yeah, I'm specifically saying on camera. This is like I can't think of I can't think of anything more violent aside from like people getting shot. Maybe like execution. That guy did like kind of just jump out in traffic and shoot people in cars or something. But
Hmm.
that's
That's
uh,
pretty violent. But I
there's
guess this is
execution here
just,
too.
shooting someone versus a sucker punching them through a window. Those are two different versions of violence, right?
Well, it's just the fact that it's like your wife and you're there's something killing a stranger is not as harrowing as like punching your wife out of a window because
Well,
it's
it
sort
is
of
for the
just that
stranger.
whole thing. Well, yeah, but you don't. You're just confused probably
Hmm.
if some stranger shoots you. But if it's like the experience of your husband who you were screaming at and taunting and telling him, "I dare you to kill me," and then watching him betray your trust as he punches you out of a window
Hmm.
is probably, well, you probably are saying to yourself, well, that's what I get, I guess. I can't imagine any other way to feel about that if I've never taunted someone to kill me. But if they did, then I'd be like, well,
I did tell them to do it.
I did tell them to do it. Oh boy.
More of the
Um,
story is don't watch court TV, I guess.
that's a that oh that's another interesting point is when you see that little shot of him in court, it's really weirdly filmed because it's like nobody knew how to film court scenes because you like
because there was
there
no show like
was
Perry
no
Mason.
yeah, there weren't really what is it like you couldn't really have court on TV and then
I mean, not a live
um
one, no. Oh,
yeah.
you mean like how would you show like so you're blocking it
It's
like
a
you would have
yeah,
Perry Mason
it was
filming.
blocked oddly. Yes,
Mm.
that's what I was trying to say.
Yeah,
Um
but it kind of added to the surreal nature. Maybe that's why we were missing like, having more TV buffoonery because that the scenes do kind of touch that line and it just doesn't go as far as like the 80s stuff does, you know?
yeah.
Um, let's do some questions. First one, who in this episode goes in or through the Twilight Zone?
I suppose it's both of them.
I think
Both
she
of the
goes through the
I
Twilight Zone window. I feel I'm gonna put it on Joe there for actually living between time and space, man.
yeah, I mean Joe and Phyllis. It's like he is taken through the Twilight Zone and she's just sort of collateral damage. Like I kind of wonder if the TV repairman has any feelings about her or not because his interference did lead to her death, right? Like I assume unless it was just going to happen anyway.
That's the thing. Was it just gonna happen anyway, or is that's why I was like maybe like this guy's just like super evil, you know?
Is it I mean is this just an instance of the patriarchy where he's just like well, I'll show you, I'll get you executed. And he doesn't care what happens to the wife.
He doesn't, I mean, that much. What was his final line? He's like, make sure to recommend me, or something like that.
I don't
It's
have
like
it
a
in front of
punchline.
me. There
I
was
have it.
there
Fix
was
your
an
set
outro.
okay, mister? You will recommend my service, won't you? So
Yeah.
he's kind of rubbing it in, like he's very, he's like, ha 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 ha, I made you kill your wife.
I mean, if the message is pay your repair person adequately, then or he'll destroy your family, then I don't know. I'm on board with that.
So always pay your in-house TV repairman because you get those guys all the time.
Yeah, it's like he came over to your house, you know. It's like he wasted his time, he wasted his trip. So, you
I
know,
guess you can
for
still have
that you
Best Buy
die.
people come in and install your new TV,
Yeah.
right? That
Yeah,
happens, right? So,
if you don't pay the Geek Squad, then they will kill your family.
mm.
I mean, indirectly,
Right,
allegedly.
right. But we could talk about both the husband and wife, Joe and Phyllis, if they deserve their trip into the Twilight Zone or through the Twilight Zone window.
I
Um,
I don't I can't say that she does because even if I don't know, I even if she's like mad at him for cheating on her and is yelling kill me, kill me, kill me, it doesn't necessarily mean that he has doesn't mean that he has the right to kill her.
no,
So yeah,
no.
no, I'm going to say she does not and he definitely does.
Yeah. But they both kind of suck. So I mean it's not like either of them are pleasant, so it's kind of hard to wish either of them
Well, the
any
problem is
well
that the problem is the only way he's going to get his comeuppance, the only method is
is the
by
court
killing his
system.
wife. No, the only way for him to get what he deserves is to kill his wife. It's part of the prophecy or whatever. So she's just collateral damage, and this is maybe a little bit of an instance of whatever fridge the wife, except for the husband fridges the wife
I mean, you were
twice.
making a joke about seven, but both of them do end with a dead wife, so
Yeah.
and then a murder, although it works out
Oh,
differently in seven, but whatever.
and he did punch the TV also, which we didn't mention, which is cool.
He murdered the TV too. Did the
He
TV
murdered the
deserve to get
TV.
punched by him?
Um, yeah, it was broken,
Right.
and he
Uh,
wasn't gonna pay to get it fixed.
right. Let's put this one on the tripometer then. Where zero's not trippy, five's very trippy. How trippy do you want to trip out on this one?
I'm giving this a 3.5, and probably at least half of that is just the trippiness of the one sequence repeating itself exactly, which I do find kind of trippy.
Yeah, which we kind of had a few weeks ago in Spur of the Moment, which might be one of the ones you haven't seen yet, but
Yep.
uh I don't think that's too much of a spoiler, but yeah, I guess not quite a time loop here. It's more like predictive programming. He is predictive programmed by his television. So
I find the idea of seeing the exact thing happen in whatever the same exact sequence happening fictionally and then in reality play out exactly the same to be trippy. If I
uh,
guess if they'd filmed it twice, which wouldn't make very much sense, then it would have been less trippy.
yeah, I mean Horace Ford did it last season, but that episode didn't. I don't think it worked out that well.
I I don't remember much about Horace Ford except I didn't like it.
Yeah, but it did have the repeating sequence, so of exact things happening. Uh,
Hmm.
I guess that's a repeating sequence, so this is a predictive sequence, and then it happens in, quote unquote, real life. I don't know. I see what you're saying. I guess I'm going to settle on a 3 for this. A lot of that is just like the TV repairman Sterling Holloway. Just he's like an insanely
Yeah.
trippy character, you know? Like I said,
Yeah.
is he evil? Is he the devil, you know? And then he has such a pleasant demeanor, you know?
And I like that I feel like this show has evolved a little bit where the show isn't like it's Mr. They didn't call him Mr. whatever. They didn't call him like Mr. Future.
Deville.
Yeah.
That's actually 101 Dalmatians, but whatever.
Yeah, but don't you kind of feel like if this was a season one episode, it'd be like enter Mr. Future, the TV repairman. You know, it'd be like he'd be in the prologue, and he would be like way more of a presence. Whereas like it's kind of like a light touch here, which is better. That's way better.
Yeah, they wanted to make space for the honeymooners gone wrong. So,
Yeah, yeah. That and the part where there's the heartfelt conversation are both what to me elevate this from being this could have been a bad episode and it's good. And it, like those two things really elevated it because they're different.
right.
um
Um,
the of course the action not great, but whatever. I mean whatever, not great in a fun way. So it's like, you know, I could not tell whether the stunt double was a man or not, but I think it was. Like you see
well,
the wig flip a little bit.
I did not rewind as you did. I was just like, well, I guess you get to see it twice anyway, but
I rewound it the
with
first time several
okay.
times.
So, yeah, I mean, yeah, I didn't rewind, but I guess I still saw it twice at least. But I wasn't thinking so hard about the stunt person, so I'll trust your judgment on that.
It just immediately struck me as the falling out of the falling out of the window sequence immediately struck me as like that's weird. That's awkward.
Well, again, they hadn't done a window drop for a while. Maybe that's why. So they're a little rusty on it.
Yeah,
You know, they
that's
had a
why.
different producer last time. Someone fell out of a window.
I'm going to guess that the episode didn't end up long enough, so they just put a little more of the stunt in than they would have otherwise.
Maybe. Um, anyway, I think I've said everything I need to say. Did you have any final comments on this one?
Do you think this would have been better if Cenobites had showed up?
Oh yeah, that's always better when Cenobite show. No, I was waiting
Yeah.
for Videodrome stuff. I was waiting for the hand to come out of the TV. I was waiting for him to, pull a gun out of his stomach or something.
I mean, I honestly just thought he was going to keep watching himself on TV until he went crazy or something. But this was better because it was just the weirdness of watching a man who is so stupid that he will just do exactly what he was afraid of doing.
Well,
And I mean, that's a special kind of moron. It's like there are so many things that I regret doing in life, and like if I just had been shown them before, I mean, not ever like killing anybody or throwing them out a window or hitting anybody, but just stupid things I've said. It's like if someone had just showed me video of it, I would be like, "Oh, I know not to do this now."
but well, there is the lack of free will possibility too. It's just like this is what happens. There's no way to change that.
I mean, that's also trippy and interesting. Isn't it like, I don't know, the idea that everything must happen the way that it has happened?
Mm. And
Or
well, again, they've done that this season, but we do have a new writer here, so that's also worth
yeah.
noting again. So
Yeah,
anyway,
I
if
mean
you
we do, but it's also I assume that at least some of this is pretty heavily filtered through Rod Serling doing whatever he wants with it.
Yeah.
but who knows? Because writing like mission log goes into it a lot more than we do in any of our podcasts. But there's always some writers' room
I'm
and
not so
punching
sure
up and
the
stuff.
Twilight Zone had like a writer's room though. I mean, I'm sure they had
Well, I
some
mean,
vetting and some changes, but
yeah, I'm just assuming that somebody rewrote stuff. Well, we hear about the occasional Space 1999 episodes where someone just rewrites the entire thing, but then the guy's name is on it, and the guy's like, I didn't recognize any of this thing that I wrote.
yeah, I mean, we have
So,
scripts credited to Charles Beaumont, who's not writing anymore. So,
yeah,
but that's a different situation. So,
yeah, but I mean, yeah, it definitely still feels to me like Rod Serling's Twilight Zone, and it feels like an evolution of like stuff he was doing. So
I can
I'm going
see
to
that.
give him at least some credit for how this is a little bit of a more evolved version of someone falling out of a window twice.
Right. Well, if you want to listen to us until you go insane, just to reference your state, I was going to pick up on that 2 minutes ago, but then we kept going, which is fine. But yeah,
Well,
we're
now
at
they're
pod.
even more insane.
Yeah, we're at podcastiopodcastius.org. You can dig into Time Enough Podcast there. We were talking about Space 1999 and now Planet of the Apes movies and TV series over at Podcast 1999. There's Luke Loves Pokemon. There's Films and Filth. I'm just like going all over the place. Go dig that stuff. Um, okay, I guess I'll kill you.
Yonkers, Yonkers, Yonkers.
Okay, there we go.
I
I
don't
just
remember
wanted
if that was how she was saying Yonkers. I just saw it in
Yeah,
my
it
notes.
works. That's okay. That's not how he said I'll kill you either. Okay, I guess I'll kill you now.
Yonkers. I don't know. Yonkers does sound like something that you would yell while someone was killing you.
I mean, they're close to Yonkers, though. That's it's like 20
Yonkers.
kilometers north of Manhattan, right?
Yeah, I guess I don't know, man. I guess he shouldn't have.
I don't know about that distance, and I just said kilometers, which is weird, I guess, talking about American places.
What is that? 2 miles? Or the thing is, I never remember what direction it
20
goes. It's
kilometers
like,
would be like 15 miles, I think.
yeah, okay. So yeah,
Now I
God,
have to see where Yonkers is.
fuck.
I'm taking a look at Google Earth to find out where Yonkers, how close Yonkers is. I look at
Yonkers.
I think I told you I have a weird Earth Google Earth obsession.
Welcome to Google Earth.
Welcome to Google Earth. Where's Yonkers? Let's see. There's New York City. I'm waiting for the names to come up. That was exactly right. Insane. 20
Wow.
kilometers north of Manhattan, of Central Park, is Yonkers about.
All right. Well, I gotta go like Yonkers the piss out of my
Okay. Uh,
urine. What do you call it? The yeah,
my Google Earth still
bladder.
says the Gulf of Mexico with Gulf of America in parentheses.
I can't even. I don't even want to look. I'm like fucking. I cannot stand this shit. I honestly just do not want to look. I'm
I
like
think
just
yours, I
waiting.
think in America, it just or in the States, it just says Gulf of America, whereas I still get the Gulf of Mexico here in Japan.
I just
Okay.
like don't give a shit. I hope that it's like the Gulf with Trump's corpse in it. Like I don't know. I fucking cannot deal with this shit at all. It's like I have the choice between either just hoping that they all die or just not thinking about it, and I
Hmm.
just try not to think about it.
Well, I live in Japan.
Uh,
Okay, I'll catch you
well,
later.
yeah,
I
it's
guess you're gonna
different.
go. Yeah, so
Yeah, I
you're
got
gonna do your
pissed.
thing later. Bye
All right,
bye.
later.